right, welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. This is episode 56, I believe. It's been a minute since we last recorded.
I know.
I was just talking to Slade off camera here, and I was like, "What's the plan?" And we just decided we're gonna wing this. We just have a bunch of topics. We're not sure what order this is gonna be in, but I think we're gonna touch at least 10 sports here. We got plenty of plays. We got the French Open coming up, Indy 500. Slade's a huge UFL fan, so I have a future for him to win that. So a little bit of everything, man. But how you been? What's been new? Did the NFL draft treat you as well as it did for me?
It went pretty good for me. I'm happy with how it went for the Bears. I wasn't, I haven't been tweeting much off the account, the BetGPT account, because every time we would tweet, the comment section would just be filled up with when is the next pod? When is the next pod? And it's like, guys, we work 2 full-time jobs. All right. Like we need a break sometimes. We need a summer vacation too. I know you've done some traveling.
It is nice to not think about the pod, but everywhere I go, I see our stickers, and I'm like, our fans are just everywhere. So
I know. You can't. We're even when we're on vacation, we're thinking of plays and things to bring up. But I got 2 cavities filled today. I wasn't sure if I didn't know if I was gonna be able to make the pod. This is like my Jordan flu game.
A lot of podcasters would have sat this out. To be honest,
my lip right here was numb until about an hour ago, and I couldn't really talk. It took me like an hour to eat a mac and cheese. But just remember to brush your teeth a lot and stuff so that you don't have to get a cavity filled.
Well said. All right. MLB futures or state of the MLB, kind of where we're at. I know you text me every night between 7 and 9 when you're watching the MLB whip around with
big
guys
inning.
hitting home runs.
Big inning.
Oh, big inning, yeah. I guess let's start with the AL MVP race. That is probably one of the most exciting races in all of sports. It's only May. We still have another 3+ months of this, which I'm very excited for. Kyle Tucker's kind of vaulted up the board. He's joined by Soto, Gunnar Henderson, and then Bobby Witt Jr. What are your thoughts on this market right now?
Basically, anytime one of those top 5 guys falls a little bit and their number gets a little too big, I just buy a little bit into them because it's going to be one of these 5 guys. And I think it's one of those 5 will probably get hurt.
Oh, so I forgot Judge too. Yeah.
Judge. Yeah. One of the, it's Soto, Witt, Judge, Henderson, Tucker. And like, if the season ended today, it's Gunnar Henderson as the MVP. He's got the highest WAR. I think he's tied for the lead in home runs. He plays shortstop. The Orioles are, top 5 record. And then I do worry a little bit about this Soto and Judge being on the same team, and like, how does that split votes? How do you grade who's the most important player? I mean, where they bat in the order is interesting too, because a lot of their RBIs are hitting the other person in. So that's been a little interesting. But obviously the Yankees are off to a better start than everyone thought. So I think that's just given Soto this lead in all the books. He's like plus 225, but you have to remember, like, they're projecting where they think it will finish as much as they're saying like where you are now. I don't think if the season ended today, Soto would be in the top 2. I think he's clearly in the top 5, but I think you're giving him a boost because he has maybe the best track record of those 5 over like the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think it's important to think about like the path too. Like if the Orioles win the division, Gunner's gonna have a super good chance. But still, if the Yankees win, like you said, Soto and Judge, like that could be mixed votes, which is very interesting. Royals, if they win a division, obviously Bobby Witt Jr. And then the Astros, they're struggling all year, at least pitching wise. They're getting a little bit healthier. I think they're only like 5 games back of the division. So they definitely have a path to win that division. And if they do, it's probably because of Kyle Tucker.
Yeah. So I was going to say Kyle Tucker probably deserves a little more love. He's just on a team that's struggled. I don't know if this is a 6-pack pick per se, but I still think the Astros are making the playoffs. I don't know what that number is. I'd have to look. I have not. This is just something that I was thinking about earlier today.
Yeah, I can take a look here. Okay, so on FanDuel, the Astros are sitting at minus 120. Yes, minus 110. No, it's like a pick 'em.
What if I just told you I just checked DraftKings and they're plus 115? I think that's live. because I think the playoffs are so expanded now. They've won like 7 of their last 10. Their lineup is too good. They've got Tucker, Alvarez, Bregman, Altuve. There's too many good hitters. Hader can't suck the whole season. Verlander's back off the IL. I think that they're actually going to be fine. I think their division sucks. I mean, I'm not really that worried about the Mariners. They strike out like more than any team in the league. They have a great rotation, but their offense sucks. And then the Rangers can win the division for all I care, but they're struggling too. And, you can get in as a wild card.
All right, so I just typed this out. Do you want it?
Lock me in.
Is it 115 you said?
Yep.
All right, 115 official 6-pack play Astros to make the playoffs. I will say we're going to go at the end of this episode. I have several plays throughout a plethora of sports, and then we're going to recap kind of what futures of ours either cashed or lost over the last couple months here. Okay. Astros to make the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have that much to say about the races in general. I feel like it's still a little bit early. I do want to say we've been pretty heavily in the rookie of the year market in the AL just because we're Colin Cowser guys. Where I know I did bet him. I don't want to be a Colin Cowser guy anymore.
Me neither. He stinks.
He's not good at all. He's sitting there as the favorite on DK because Mason Miller is not listed for whatever reason. And he's second to Mason Miller on FanDuel. Yeah. I don't really know what to make of that situation.
I have fully committed myself to this Luis Heil. I think it's how you say it. It's GIL, but I think it's pronounced like Heil or Heil. He's this pitcher for the Yankees. He's got really good stats. He was great this morning. I got him at like 12-1, and he was like 20-1 maybe 2 weeks ago. Now he's down to 5-1. So unfortunately, we maybe missed the long shot, but I still think has a real chance. I honestly don't think that. I know historically these awards, these Rookie of the Year, have gone to position players, but I don't think that's going to be the case in either league. There's too many good pitchers and there's too few good hitters. When all of these young guys have just either gotten hurt or sucked, like the Jackson Holidays of the world have disappointed.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of where I went wrong. All my futures, I decided to ignore pitchers, and it seems as if that is not the case anymore.
I think the only real hitter live in the NL is Jackson Merrill, and I know you have a ticket on him, so at least that's a positive development. But yeah, I mean, it's Imanaga, it's Skeens, it's Yamamoto, it's Jared Jones. The odds of one of them not winning it feels kind of like a long shot at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Joey Ortiz might have a chance for the Brewers if they win the division, but he is outperforming his metrics, so I'm not totally sold on him. Let's talk a little Cy Young here. Tariq Skubal against Reagans yesterday. I was super excited for it. I was in Des Moines. I was like, I'm going to turn this on to kind of check in. And if you live in Des Moines or Iowa, you know that 25% of the league is blacked out. So I was not able to watch it. And I'm glad I didn't because Skubal got rocked. He gave up 4 runs, I think through like 5 innings. Reagan's dominated, but Skubal's still sitting there at plus 250, Burns plus 450, and then everyone else 12-1 or higher.
I was a little surprised it didn't fall much, especially when it was to Reagan's head-to-head.
Yeah, I know, and Reagan's really didn't move.
Yeah. I've been basically on Burns and Skubal for a while, and so now they're the 2 favorites. So the only hedge I've really done so far is with Luis Castillo at 18-1, and he got up to like 10-1, and now he's back down to like 18-1. I think he gave up 2 solo homers to the Yankees today. He actually got outpitched by Luis Gil, who I just confirmed. I got him at 15-1 on May 18th, so not even a week ago. I think he's still live because I think one of those pitchers from the Mariners is going to come out of that group. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are all putting up good numbers, but I think in order for one of them to win, one of them has to kind of separate themselves as like the ace of the rotation so they don't split votes. And I think it's going to be Luis Castillo. So I kind of have
Yeah.
it down to like 4 names.
I didn't tell you this, but a couple days ago, I found a rogue 30-1 on Tanner Huck for the Red Sox. Threw a little bit on that to add to the portfolio. I don't think he actually wins, but just having him at 30-1 makes me feel a little bit better about my positioning here.
You
But
don't want to
big
join
on
me on
Scooble
Cutter
skill.
Crawford 88-1.
No Cutter. I'll stick with Tanner, my one Red Sox guy. I have so much on Scooble, Burns, and Reagans. You wouldn't believe it. It's very financially irresponsible. So I need one of those 3 guys badly. Otherwise, we might have to record pods once every 2 weeks because I'm gonna have to Uber on that off week. So
Like every week, I've been throwing $1 on it's an investment. Like take $1 out of every paycheck and I put it towards Javier Assad, Cy Young, because it's 110-1. And I'm like, every week he doesn't get absolutely shelled. I'm like, I'm gonna put a little bit on. He's got like the 3rd best ERA in the National League. I know he didn't pitch super well, but last game, but he was throwing in like 22-mile-an-hour winds to left field against the Braves. So I really
yeah,
don't care that he gave up like 2 through 4 2/3, whatever it was. And like, do I think he's gonna win? No, but like he's putting up we're almost through May, and he's probably in the top 3 or 4 if the season ended today. And then his odds have it as if he has no chance. And I understand it because he's not flashy and everything, but like how is Justin Steele 80-1 and he's 110-1 when he's outperformed Steele for 2 months straight?
on FanDuel, Assad's up to 150-1 and Steele's 120-1. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's
Um,
gonna win. So it's like every time he doesn't get shelled, I'm like $1 to the pot.
yeah. What about Blake Snell 200-1?
I can't do it. But I didn't think
Can't
he should
either.
have won last year, so I'm just kind of a hater.
Yeah. I think in this market right now, I'm to be honest with you, I'm leaning Ranger Suarez. He's got some great stuff. He's sitting there at 5-1. I wouldn't bet it at this price. I wish I would have got it at the beginning of the season because Lord only knows where that was. But I like him 5-1. Chris Sale 9-1. I know you like Dylan Cease 16-1. You think that's
Mhm.
live?
Yeah, it's definitely live. The NL Cy Young is a lot more wide open than the AL.
Yeah, it does help when these pitchers, if they have the Cubs on their schedule, it might help their
Mhm.
chances quite a bit because I don't think the Cubs have scored in what seems like weeks.
You want to hear a depressing stat? I've got one for you. Since April 27th, the Chicago Cubs are last in baseball in batting average at 198. They have averaged 3.1 runs per game. The last 7 games, so including today, they are hitting 140, 148. And in the last 7 games, they have scored a total of 16 runs. And keep in mind, they played a game in like an absolute just wind tunnel to left field, 22 miles an hour with gusts up to like 30 something. And they scored like 4 runs total. I think and if you take out that game, like that means they scored like 12 over the other 6. And I think 2 of
Yeah,
their runs came in extra innings. So really, like if in just like a normal game where a runner doesn't start on second base, an inning, like an actual inning, they don't score. They faced a guy with an ERA of 6.1 in AAA today, and they scored 0 runs at home with everybody in the lineup.
yeah. And when I saw the lineup this morning, I was like, "Hey, this lineup actually looks good." It
Yeah, I
wasn't.
put a lot of Cubs players in my DFS lineup today, which side note,
Yeah,
DFS is fun. If people haven't done that, that's daily fantasy. It's like you do a lineup every day. Like DraftKings and FanDuel, I do both of those. I might get into underdogs. They've got a good promo for like free $250 in play. But yeah, FanDuel, you do like 1 pitcher per lineup, and DraftKings, you do 2 starters per day. Um, it's been fun. It's kind of like you lose $5, you lose $5, you lose $5, but then you might hit and be like, oh, you finish in the top 10 out of like 1,000 and you make a couple $100. And then you go right back to losing 5 in a row, 6 in a row. So like right now, I think I've lost like 8 in a row. But like last week, I won like $200 on one. So it's kind of
all
fun.
it
And like,
takes is one.
yeah, you get a good podcast. They'll help you out. There's a projection sites and things like that. And it's always really like it's really satisfying when you take a guy who's like really cheap, like a value play, and they hit a home run or they like have a big day, and it's like, yeah, my guy that I paid like $2,000 for out out hit Shohei Ohtani today, who was 7,000. Like things like that, I think make it a little more fun. Um,
Yeah, I think the keys to win DFS are obviously you need to pick guys who are going to play well, but you have to be contrarian as well because
mhm.
like Otani could have a 2 for 3 game with a double and 2 RBIs, which is like a good game, but if the ownership percentage of him is like 40%,
Yeah,
then it's like, well, you're not gonna be able to beat
exactly.
those guys. Whereas if you get like Cronenworth for a little bit cheaper and he hits a home run and a double, it's like, well, there you go. That's better than
Yeah,
him, and
exactly.
5% of people had him. So
It's a lot of strategy. And obviously, the more people that are in a pool, the more combinations. It's kind of like with the NCAA tournament brackets, where like
yeah, exactly.
if you go chalk, you might end up winning like $5 off that lineup, but you have like no chance of winning, the 10,000 pot or whatever it is. Um,
Yeah,
the closest I've gotten is third, and then I've gotten like I've won one, but it was like a smaller size, like a 50 person. But like I want to win one of those like 35,000 people enter once with like $20,000 pots, and like FanDuel's one that's 100,000, and like the winner gets 20K. Like that would be amazing. But yeah,
there's
I know
nothing I want to see more than you winning one of those and getting invited to like a super contest, and you get awarded like an actual like 5 foot check. I would love that.
that would be amazing. I would take all that money and I would donate it to charity. But
I was gonna say I thought you were gonna invest that in Kava. Hashtag this
Kava,
is not
yeah,
financial advice.
yeah. Um, shareholder meeting last week. I voted on something. Um,
Slade, you're very multifaceted, my friend. I
thank
love
you.
it.
But to the AL MVP thing, I think I'm kind of rooting for Bobby Witt Jr. just because um, I th- or I'm pulling for financial reasons, but also I want somebody who's gonna accumulate WAR through like being well rounded. And so, like, if he's not hitting home runs for a few days, he's still stealing bases. He's still playing elite shortstop. He's like third in doubles. He might end up leading the league in triples when it's all said and done. I think that's something that is going to matter because Soto is going to go through a drought this year, and so is a guy like Kyle Tucker, and so is Aaron Judge. But what are they doing outside of um, hitting the ball that provides value? And I think that's where Gunnar and Bobby Witt have a slight edge. There's just a lot of
Yeah,
different profiles for how these guys produce and how, like what teams want. Like comparing Gunnar Henderson to Aaron Judge is like kind of hard to do. Um, and then for the National League, it's like the two Dodgers at the top. It's Otani and it's Mookie. I like Otani over Mookie just because I think he's that much better of a hitter, and he steals bases like crazy too. But also, um, if you go on FanDuel right now, Ellie De La Cruz is 40-1, and on DraftKings he's 15-1. I don't know if 15-1 is that's probably not accurate, but 40-1 is definitely not accurate because he has a legit chance to steal 100 bases and hit 30 home runs. And if he does that, he's got a chance. Obviously, the Reds are in last place right now. They have to play better, but they should. They're not as bad as their record.
yeah, and people are gonna love that to see that 100 stolen bases because obviously you saw it with Acuna Jr. Last year with the 70 plus, and everyone's like, oh, he has to win, and then he
Yeah,
did. So
100 would be insane. Obviously, playing middle infield and doing it while hitting 30 plus homers. I think that would be a real possibility if one of Mookie or Shohei get hurt, which they have done in the past. So I'm not saying it's a likely scenario. I'm just saying 40-1 on FanDuel is kind of a crazy number for a guy who's realistically probably like fourth or fifth best right now, fourth or fifth best odds. But
before we go to the next subject here, I don't want to lose this thought. So Acuna Jr. last year, I remember you brought this up to me. You're like, why is Mookie Betts like 60-1 to win MVP with like I don't know, 3 weeks left or a month. It was something like that. And he ended up getting second. It was close. He flipped to being the leader with like 2 weeks to go, and then Acuna
Yeah, he
Jr.
kind of
just like
choked.
went crazy. So I saw a tweet that had Acuna Jr.'s strikeout percentage by year: 2018, 25%; 2019, 26%; 2020, 29%; 2021, 23%; 2022, 23%. Last year, 11.4, and now he's back up to 25. What happened? How do you have that huge of a drop off? And then there's people like me who fall for it, bet him for MVP, and he's not even a top 10 guy right now.
Yeah, I know. You talked me into betting him with like some with like an odds boost, and now it's like he's so far down the list. Um, I don't
I
know.
have no choice. I
There's
have
a
no choice but to parlay Acuna Jr. MVP and Jackson Holiday AL Rookie of the Year.
$1
I,
to retire.
exactly.
I've seen a lot of people like on Twitter, so it's all bullshit, but it's like, are the Braves the new like Astros? Like something fishy's going on there. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but there is a lot of suspicious stuff. I mean, Acuna last year has like 1 year, one outlier of where his strikeout rate is like 12% lower, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then you've got Marcell Ozuna. There's like Marcell Ozuna before his 32nd birthday, and then there's Marcell Ozuna after his 32nd birthday, and it's like a role player, and then it's like an MVP candidate, and that's odd. Chris Sale, I'm not going to go there with him, but I mean he looked incredible all of a sudden. Charlie Morton, like these guys, they're all guys that like people are like, are they done? And then they go there and they're awesome. Matt Olson's
Well,
best year happens when he's there. Like it's weird.
I do want to bring up Chris Sale. So like I think he was like 80 to 1 to start the year just because of his injury history, and it's like, can he put a full season together? His last two injuries have been him falling off a motorbike and getting hit by a line drive.
That's true.
So it's not like his elbow has just like gotten destroyed. That being said,
That's
he'll
fair.
probably get hurt next week. But
Yeah, I still think he's gonna
yeah,
get hurt eventually. That's why I
yeah,
haven't bet him for Cy Young, but I did bet him for NL Comeback Player of the Year. I got him at plus 200, plus 300. He's down to minus 300 with like no one
nice.
close because the only competitor, it's not even that he's been really good, but like he was already doing really good, but then Edwin Diaz fell off a fucking cliff.
Yeah,
And
he's
so
crying in the locker
there's no
room.
co
Yeah,
there's no competition unless you're like, if you're not gonna take him for that award, and it's only on FanDuel, by the way, you have to go way down the list and find somebody that, like, we're not even thinking of right now.
yeah, yeah. So Slade and I've talked about having a little micro pod every single night at 9 p.m. just talking MLB futures. Will that actually happen? Probably not. But as we get closer and maybe later out through the summer, I could definitely see us just dropping some straight award podcasts. Just because that's what
Yeah.
we're interested in. You don't have to know a lot about the sport really in general. It's just following these certain
It's like
guys, which makes it
investing in
fun.
stocks. It's except for
Yeah,
there's only one winner, and it's a bigger return. It's like that's how I've been treating these like the AL MVP. It's like I know that like when Judge fell to 16 to 1, it's like why would you not bet Judge 16 or 20 to 1? You know he's going to get back in the race, so you bet him then. And then when Gunner last like 2-3 days ago he fell to 9 to 1 and now he's back to 5 to 1 and it's like he hit 2 home runs in a game the next day. Like those 5 guys are going to stay at the top and it's like anytime one of them has like a bad week, they drop to like 10 to 1 and that's too far. That's too long of odds.
yeah. So I mean, if you can bet all five guys at some point at above 5 to 1 odds, that's a
Yeah.
profit. May
Yeah.
not be a lot. You're not going to win the lottery, but I'll pick up 2 or 3 units every single year doing awards. No problem.
Imagine if Mike Trout didn't get hurt because he was like second in the MVP when he got hurt. It would have been a 6-man race. That'd
I
be
can't even
nuts.
imagine that. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been like
So
already what I looked. He still has more WAR than like God, who was it? Um, I think it's like Francisco Lindor and like some other guy making like $300 million combined, and he hasn't played in a
Try
month.
Xander Bogarts, those two
Probably, yeah.
dorks. Yeah. Okay. Well, any other MLB thoughts?
No, I'll be curious to see how the trade deadline goes, but I think we're still a ways out.
Oh, speaking of the deadline, I guess this will be the last topic. We bet the Padres to make the playoffs. I obviously they traded for Arias. I think since our last pod, which has been huge. I think they're going to be live at the deadline too. They want to win, so I would not hate to bet on them to win the NL potentially because I do think they end up making the playoffs. But that team is just stacked. I don't want to look past them. At the same time, they're not that good, but they are stacked. If that makes
They
sense.
have a lot of star power. They
Yeah,
have a lot of guys, a lot of pitchers with some nasty stuff, but they're capable of just getting rocked on any given night, like Dylan Cease.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's talking baseball. When I texted you, it was a couple days ago. We were planning out this podcast, and we named a bunch of sports what we wanted to talk about. One thing I don't think we actually said was the NBA, which is probably the most popular sport right now for pretty much everyone but us. That being said, it has been pretty entertaining. Um, we had the Nuggets to win the West in our 6-pack that lost. They blew a 20-point lead in Game 7. And obviously, where we're at today on the 23rd, the Mavs are up 1-0 and the Celtics are up 1-0. Do you have any leans in terms of who you think's going to win it all, or even any bets, I guess, in general?
I think the Celtics are going to beat the Pacers. I know that's pretty chalky. I do think the Pacers are going to give them a series. I actually like the Mavs to beat the Wolves. I think they just match up pretty well with them. And I thought this before last night. I did bet them money line last night with that 30% FanDuel boost. So they were like, I think 2-1 or 3-1. I don't even know, but it was like a max of $10. Doesn't really matter. But I think they have a real chance to win the West. I still think the Celtics are probably the favorite. I have money on, I think, 3 of the 4 teams. I don't have anything on the Pacers because that would be kind of stupid. I was my
Yeah.
biggest bets were on the Nuggets, and so them losing a Game 7 at home with a 20-point lead did hurt me a little bit, but um, it's all right. I've actually enjoyed watching the playoffs. I'll admit to that. I do DFS for NBA too, since it's right there on the app. But um, yeah, it's been all right. I like Ant. I think he's really cool. But some of the Jordan comps, and it's like it's his league now. I think we need to cool it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of the implications of in the future of whoever wins the title. It's gonna be Tatum, it's gonna be Ant, or it's gonna be Luca. And I
Yeah,
selfishly really want it to be Luca. I mean, you just saw him hit his 5th first team All NBA. Like he, it's just so funny watching him play. I always laugh. I missed the game last night because I was on a flight, but I watched the highlights before bed, and it looks like he's just like jogging. He's like the guard version of Jokic. Those guys just play so
yeah.
slow and in control. And
Do
next
you
thing you
think
know,
they
he
could be
passes it
teammates?
to a wide open guy for a dunk.
Do you think they could be
Hmm?
teammates? Like, because I feel like they could, but it would just like I'm just like trying to visualize what Jokic and Luke on the same team would look like.
I think it would work, but there would just be like every like 20 or so possessions there'd be where they're like both playing like way too nonchalant and someone would just easily like
The
do something
defense
crazy
might be a
against
little
them.
sketchy. Um,
Yeah.
I like Luca. I like Luca, but the complaining to the refs is really annoying to me because sometimes it's like, dude, like you do commit fouls or like you weren't touched there, and he's still screaming, just like going off. And like I've heard it's worse when you're there than even like when you're watching on TV, and it's pretty bad when you're on TV watching it. Sometimes it's like makes you cringe almost. It's like the little
Yeah.
kid, and it's like has like no parental supervision. But yeah, someone's legacy is going to change forever because the way people talk about Tatum is almost kind of like putting him down in a way. Like we talk about him like he's a star, but at the same time, no one respects him that way. And then obviously, yeah, if Ant or Luca win a ring, like they're going to be one of the faces of the league. The
Yeah.
league wants the league wants it to be Ant.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. The league wants it to be Ant, and then they want him to win an Olympic gold and lead the team in scoring or something. So
Yeah. Yep.
if you want to hear more about that, you can listen to the Bill Simmons podcast. That's a free plug. He'll talk about Anthony
Yeah.
Edwards for an hour straight.
One quick thing about Bill Simmons. Does he think we actually give a actually, you know what? This reminds me of what Brady Ellingson said to us the other day about how Kris Middleton has a gold medal. Does he think we give a fuck?
Yeah.
Seriously. You go look at the Team USA basketball rosters on years they won gold. Congrats, Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I looked that up. The 2020 team: Adebayo, Booker, KD, Jeremy Grant, Draymond, Drew Holiday, Keldon Johnson. That was a big one.
That's
Zach
huge for his
Levine,
legacy. Yeah.
JaVale McGee. Yeah, that was good. So
They get like 3 stars and a couple guys that just wanted to be there.
yeah. But that being said, I was just in Paris last week. They have some stuff up for the Olympic Games. They have some random like stadiums and like bleachers and stuff set up throughout the city. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I do think we can have a lot of bets. My Discord channel seems pretty locked in on the Olympics. So hopefully I can hop on here and provide us some winners through them.
Did you smoke any cigarettes while you were there?
No, but you like eat dinner kind of late and you walk out, and like my wife and I were walking back to our hotel. It's like 11 p.m. and every single person is smoking a cigarette, having a glass of wine. Every single night from like 11 to 1 a.m. That's all people do. So that's the life.
Crazy. They probably
Yeah.
they probably get cavities and just don't get them filled because they all just like have such bad dental plans.
I think the bread, if you have a piece of bread, it like negates it. It's fine.
Oh.
They're pastries, yeah. It's not made with that artificial crap that's in the U.S.
That's
so
true.
everyone in Europe's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Also, while I was in Europe, I could not watch sports, but I was awake while Scottie Scheffler was arrested because that was like the afternoon. So I was following that live. Scottie, I think he would have won if he didn't get arrested. It's never easy. It's never easy performing after you spend 3 hours in a jail cell, but he did it. I think he shot like 500 that day, but then the next day he shot 3 over and kind of got himself out of contention. But shout out to Xander Schauffele for getting the monkey off his back, winning that first major. And I am that guy who has already bet him 25 to 1 to win the U.S. Open coming up in a couple weeks.
Xander?
Yeah. He's
I
down
feel
to
like he
14
might
to 1.
now that he's got the monkey off his back. Maybe he just goes on a fucking heater.
Him and Scottie just alternating for the rest of the time.
Have you ever noticed how narrow Xander's shoulders are? Next time you're watching him, it's like his shoulders are like scrunched in. Like he has like no, like I don't even know what this is called. His like chest width has to be like this big.
Yeah, not everyone's as manly as you, Slade.
I know. Not everyone's got a gym in their basement.
That's true. Yeah. All right. And what else do you want to talk about, man? We have so many other options here.
Soccer.
Oh yeah, soccer. Let's talk about. So I remember this is our first podcast, and I had a lot of fun looking up the stats here, and it was basically like bet Man City, otherwise you're dumb. That's kind of our reasoning. Sure enough, our 6-pack plays Man City cashed, as well as Haaland to lead the league in goals. And also he did not even play the whole season. He was hurt like half the year. So yeah, I don't know. He still got it done. But do you have anything to say about Arsenal choking their lead? Because they had it right there.
The better team won. so I don't know if I would really even consider it a choke. But I do. I mean, it was kind of nice knowing that either my soccer club wins or I make money. And but yeah, it's nice to see. I mean, that was what our first episode like a year ago. So it's nice to see
Yeah,
that our listeners who were with us from day one made some money if they followed.
yeah, I
Oh, and
totally agree.
Liverpool sucks and Tottenham sucks. So
Yeah, both of them not good. Yeah, so I might as well just go through the six
you
pack
know what
right
would be
now.
worse
So
than being a Liverpool fan is flying out to Liverpool and watching them in person and they get shut out. That was I don't know anybody who that's happened to, but if I did, that if I would feel really bad for them.
yeah, if you are a listener and that happened to you, tweet into the show. We'd love to have you on to talk about that, and maybe we could have like a fundraising event where we could get you back out there and hopefully
Yep.
see a win.
Yep.
But all right, six pack. Like I said, Man City and Holland cashed. We had some NBA futures. You had Pacers over 3.5 or over 39.5 wins cash. Hawks over lost. I had the Raptors over that lost. Pistons under one. OKC under lost. I did not think they'd have a huge jump. And then we also had some futures that were just quarter units that lost. However, we did have some other wins here. We had Jaden Daniels to be selected number 2. That one ended up winning. And basically, throughout all that, we are sitting at plus 11.75 units. So nothing to scoff at there. You know, if your unit size is $100, you're up over $1,100 with us. So pays to listen. That being said, I think this is kind of where I need to take over. I have a lot of plays here.
All right, you do your
So
take it where you need to go.
these first two I'm going to loop in with you. I have 2 college World Series outrights, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on college baseball, but I'm taking Georgia 26-1 and North Carolina 31-1.
Where did you
Uh,
get that UNC 31? Where did because
I,
well, you can just tell me afterwards, but because I'm on both Georgia, North Carolina, and I'm also on Tennessee just because Tennessee is like they're by all accounts the best team. So I wanted to make sure I had a real chance there. But Georgia 25-1. I'm on that. I didn't get them 26 when I got them 25-1.
yeah, I mean, most of these are just posted on DraftKings. I got North Carolina last week, so they must have moved a little bit. What did you get North Carolina at?
That's what I'm looking for right now. I have like because this is why it's so important to shop because I remember I was texting you and I was like, this book has Georgia like 12-1 and this one has them 25-1. So I had to book each one in different or get each one in different books.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I definitely don't think I got it 31-1 though.
Yeah, I don't even know where it's at. So I'm gonna pull up DraftKings here, but I'm making these official plays. So these will be 0.25 unit plays. If you don't know how college baseball works, right now is the conference tournament, which really doesn't mean that much. But then the teams that make I guess not the College World Series, but like regionals.
Yep.
You're in a pot of 4. You have to win your pod. Then you're in the super regional, which is just like a weekend 3-game series. You got to win that. Then you're moved to the College World Series in Omaha, which is just like a huge double elimination type of bracket here.
So I got them 26-1 on FanDuel. And then I also took Wake Forest 17-1. What was interesting about them is like every other book, like DraftKings, on them, they had them like below 10-1. So it's like double the juice on FanDuel for Wake Forest. I don't know if they're just they they miscalculated on that, but like literally every other place I've checked has them 10-1 or less, and then they were 17-1.
Yeah, they must just have a lot of exposure elsewhere. But
Yeah,
we'll
that's
we'll
what.
just give Georgia and North Carolina both out at 25-1. That's pretty much consensus. You can find it a little bit higher, a little bit lower at most places. So
Not a full
25-1.
doing a full unit.
No, quarter unit.
I was gonna say, because I still think Tennessee has the best chance at 6-1, but
They lost yesterday.
yes, that's fine. They're probably longer odds then.
I mean, like I said, the conference tournament doesn't even matter.
Not
So,
for them,
it,
no. For some
yeah,
teams, but
no,
not for them. I got
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
ACC tournament going on literally out my window right here. So UNC was playing today. I didn't even look at the score, but I watched them play like 2 pitches.
Yeah, I think the Duke North Carolina State game's on right now. But okay. Let's talk a little French Open. You
Iga?
know anything about that? Yeah, EGA. You got that
Well, I
right.
know
So,
that because our former guest Joey Isaacs tweeted that even though he knows that number is going to be not much juice, that it's probably still worth it because of how well she's playing. So that's about all I've got.
well, you brought that up. So we could just bet her to win the French Open at like minus 160, but we're not doing that. We're betting her to win the French Open without losing a set at 5-1, full unit. So her last tournament was Rome. She won it without losing a set. The tournament before, Madrid, she won that. She lost one set to Sabalenka in the finals. Long story short, these clay courts on this clay swing, they're at different speeds and they're getting progressively slower. The French Open is the slowest, whereas the first tournament in Madrid is closer to hard court. Because Iga has so much spin and so much power, these slow courts, she can just absolutely demolish people. Whereas these other people who aren't as powerful, Iga can easily play defense when she needs to. So that's why she has such a huge advantage. That's why she's a 3-time winner. I think she's 22 or 23 years old. So she's at the same pace. She's won the same amount of titles as Rafael Nadal did at his age. So, and obviously, Rafa's won 14 titles. So that's who we're taking on the women's side. If you have any appetite for a long shot, it would be Danielle Collins at 22-1. She's an American. She's been in great form all year. However, she's in Iga's quarter, so they're going to play in the quarterfinals most likely. Danielle Collins has beat her this year, one of the 3 women to do so, but that was on hard court, not on this clay surface. So that's where we're at. Iga 5-1 to win without dropping a set. And on the men's side, just real quickly, so there's just been a lot of kind of injury concerns. So Alcaraz is at the top of the board. He is the rightful favorite, I would say, but he had a forearm injury where he sat out last tournament in Rome. And the issue with that is because you need so much topspin on clay to be successful that like forearm and wrist movement, if you don't have it, it really puts you at a disadvantage. So he's sitting there at, let me pull the odds up here. He is on FanDuel. Alcaraz is plus 260, tied with Djokovic. And then Sinner's down to plus 500. So speaking of Sinner, he is the hottest player on tour this year. He does have a hip injury, and his doctors are telling him, do not play in this tournament. That's what Joey Isaacs has been hearing, as well as a few others in the industry, that their doctors do not want him to play. He's going against their wishes, and at age 22, I think having a hip injury is not normal. If you do, that's something that can really nag you for your whole career. So he's going to go for it. We'll see if he stays healthy. I'm of the opinion that I don't think all 3 of those guys, the top 3, I don't think any of them are winning. I think someone new is going to win the slam. You're sitting at Zverev is down at plus 750, Tsitsipas plus 950, or Ruud plus 1400. I ultimately think it's going to be one of those 3, just because I don't think the top 3 are in great form and healthy. So yeah, those would be, I guess, my leans. But I would say if you just blindly bet Djokovic or Alcaraz, I don't think this is the tournament to do that. I think you need to wait for grass to do something like that.
Makes sense.
So yeah. And then the one notable thing here, Rafael Nadal, he's most likely playing his last French Open. Since he's ranked like 300th in the world, they had to give him a wild card because he's been out with injuries the last like year and a half. He's playing the 4 seed, Alexander Zverev, in round 1.
Ass beating.
I hope Nadal beats his ass because he has a court appearance he's got to get to for domestic abuse on the 31st. So Zverev is a villain. We do not like Zverev. So hopefully Nadal can get that done. It's a rematch of their 2022 quarterfinals where Zverev was up 2-1 on him and he sprained his ankle, or excuse me, he broke his ankle. So if you've ever watched Breakpoint on Netflix, you'd see that. So yeah, that was talking tennis. If you don't like tennis, that's fine, but just know that our 6-pack this year is up 5.39 units on tennis. So we do know what we're talking about. So we're about to be up 10 with Iga. Yeah.
Iga, that's about what I know.
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
Do you have any plays for the Charles Schwab?
I don't. I was looking at Sepp Straka. But yeah, Keel, every week Keel just gives us these random plays, and I don't think he's hit on one, but I swear every play he gives us, the guy ends up in like the top 10. So
yeah, maybe that's what we do. Is he gives us a long shot winner, and we just bet them top 10 finish or something. That's still a good number. I like Sepp Straka also. I don't know if you saw this today, but what if I told you on May 23rd, 2024, that Zach Johnson is up 4 strokes on Scottie Scheffler and 10 strokes on Max Homa? Would you believe me?
I wouldn't, but Nicholas Bear would. He loves that guy.
Well, guess what? It's the truth. Max Homa was 8 over today.
Yeah, it's rough. I saw Scottie tripled. He hit one in the water on a par 3 and then missed
he's 2 over. He went 2 over today, and then Zach Johnson was 2 under. The course is doing its work this week compared to last week, so there's a lot less guys that are shooting 10 unders on the day.
It's just so funny when we were talking golf last year how we bet Scottie every tournament and then he like totally let us down. Then we stopped doing it and then he won like eight tournaments over the next like half a year. That being said, why are we not just like live betting Scottie and just hoping that he goes 6 under the next?
That's what I was thinking too. Is I like Straka. He's tied for 11th. And then when you go down the board, I mean, there's really not much resist. I mean, 4 strokes to get into the top 10 is not much for Scottie Scheffler. He could be back in the top 10 by this time tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one market too that we need to capitalize on is the winner without Scottie Scheffler markets. So FanDuel and DraftKings, they both usually give those out just because they want action. Like a lot of people won't bet golf, me included, because I just think Scottie's going to win. I'm not going to bet him at plus 230. So it doesn't matter if you get, you could get Bryson DeChambeau at the next major for 80-1, but what good is that if Scottie's just going to beat him? So these markets without Scottie are very interesting. But Scottie's right now sitting at 11-1 live, but he's several shots back. So just something to keep an eye on.
I have to bring it up for a third time, but they do DFS for golf. It's kind of fun too. JT Poston is like the biggest hot and cold golf. I must play him at like every tournament when I shouldn't, because he'll play really well one tournament and I won't play him, and then I put him in my lineup and he sucks. It doesn't even make the cut. Like he missed the cut last week.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happens, but it is. The John Deere Classic winner list is just hilarious to me. Sepp Straka, JT Poston, both guys we really like. Lucas Glover, Dylan Fratelli, Michael Kim, DeChambeau, Ryan Moore, Spieth, Brian Harmon, Spieth, Zach Johnson, Stricker. So, it's funny. The tournament does not get a lot of hype, but the guys who win end up being good like 3 or 4 years down the line. I think if you win the JDC, that's when you need to start buying stock for that person.
Should we so whenever someone wins the JDC this year, should we try to find like a 2027 Masters future for that?
Exactly. Player? Yeah. It's like a market to win a major in that year. You bet it at probably 20-1. Yeah. Okay. I have two other 6-pack plays. What do you know about the UFL, the United Football League?
My dad watches it, but I don't.
Should we just call him up live, see if he's got a play for us? I'm sure he'd love that. We can get his opinion on this after, but Birmingham Stallions to win the UFL -145. That's a full unit play. And if you don't know the quarterback, then I'm going to be very disappointed. So who's the quarterback of the Birmingham Stallions?
Can you give me a hint?
He was in college forever at multiple schools.
Oh God. JT Daniels.
No, that would be funny, but no. It's Adrian Martinez.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite Kansas State and Nebraska football quarterback. So he's having a good year for them. They're the best team by far. So we're taking the Stallions minus 145. Full unit. Just trust me on it. You don't have to watch it. I haven't watched a single snap. You don't have to. They're going to win.
What was that
Same
number
with
at?
Ega. Minus 145.
Okay. When does their season end?
Don't know. I think it's in a couple weeks. Doesn't matter.
All right.
I think
Yeah, whatever.
I think this is
I'm
the
in.
last week of the regular
You
season.
convinced me. I'm in.
Yeah. Let me also convince you on an Indy. The Indy 500 is this week. We're taking Scott Dixon, 0.25 units. He hasn't won since 2008. We're taking him 15-1 to win the Indy 500. What do you think about that?
I mean, I have zero. I should know more about this stuff, this IndyCar stuff, but I really don't. I bet very few NASCAR races, but that's about the extent of my auto racing. Oh, I also bet what's that sport that got really big for like no reason? I think people are finally realizing it's dumb.
The NBA.
F1? Is that's it?
F1. Yeah.
All the races and that shit.
I was in Monte Carlo last week, and they were setting up the F1 race that's there this weekend. You can't even walk in the whole city because they have all this stupid track up. Like F1 just goes and destroys a whole city for everybody, and only the rich people profit off it. I guess Monte Carlo is a poor example because everyone there is rich, but like Vegas, they just set it up like 6 months in advance. Nobody wants this. You see the cars for like 2 seconds in most seats. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The ticket prices and the food prices at these things are crazy, but Max Verstappen wins every race. You know what I mean? There was they gave out a boost. I think it was FanDuel, and it was like a 50% boost on anything. And I bet that guy to win some race at like minus 10,000 boosted down to like minus 5,000 and just put like $100 on it to make like $10. And it hit because it's stupid. Everyone knows he's gonna win.
I bet. So you can also bet on qualifying as well. You can bet on qualifying round 1 and qualifying round 2, whatever that is. I put $200 on Verstappen to win, and he lost by 1,000th of a second for like the first time. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I do not like F1. I'm not happy with F1.
Dude, my old roommate, he won't listen to this. Doesn't matter. I would walk in the kitchen and he would have F1 on, and I would just like turn around and walk right down. I'm like, dude, I'm not sitting here watching in circles.
It's just not even like comparing F1 to the other sports. Like I know NASCAR, the popularity has not been great lately, but like the Indy 500 is like a big event, 150th running. Like it's your Memorial Day weekend. You're grilling out, watching this, whatever. Like that's fun. There's actually racing involved. F1 is just who are the best engineers, and then they win. And I'm allowed to say that because I'm an engineer. No one cares about the engineers. No one wants that. Put Verstappen in one of those other cars on a different team, he does not win.
Yeah, I was
don't
gonna
care.
say I'm not impressed at anything to do with F1 winning. Like, congrats, you have a car that is owned by fucking Lamborghini or Ferrari or whatever. You're gonna win the race when you're going up against Ford or Toyota or whoever the hell you're racing against. I don't care. What does that prove?
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes went from the greatest F1 driver of all time to now he can't even get in the top 5 because Mercedes team isn't good anymore. It like makes no sense. It's like, was he even the greatest of all time to begin with, or was the team just amazing?
Turns out he wasn't actually a good driver. His car was just faster.
Yeah. So I don't know. All right. So yeah, that's the last 6-pack play for me. Scott Dixon, 15-1. Just a quarter unit, just something where we can watch on Sunday and just have someone
Is
to
that
root
the rate?
for.
Are those the races that are like 5 seconds long? Because I like those ones.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Those are like the funny car drag racing. The Indy
Yeah.
500, people are hanging out
Oh,
in the
the Indy
infield.
500.
You
Okay.
drink the milk after. Don't you remember at Paul Norton when you got on those little things and you had to
Yeah.
go? Yeah, that's the Indy 500.
Yeah. So I was thinking of those stupid things with like the parachutes out the back.
Yeah, no.
That would get me to watch because it'd be over in 5 seconds. It's like horse racing.
I do have a horse racing pick too, unofficially. Not putting this on the 6-pack, but next week is the final of the final of the Triple Crown races. We're taking Sierra Leone, whatever that horse ends up being at odds. So that's the pick there. Other closing thoughts for me. Like I said, this podcast, we're just all over the place. Can you please tell me why Breece Hall is 28-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL when he's second? Has the second highest average draft position on fantasy football. That seems to be a pretty good indication of who's going to be putting up stats. And Offensive Player of the Year is a stats award.
And it doesn't go to quarterbacks.
Week 18 last year, Breece Hall had 38 touches. They have no other good running backs in their roster. He's on a rookie deal. They're going to burn him to the ground. They want to win with Rodgers. Rodgers has had good running backs. He had Aaron Jones look really, really good for a few years, as well as some other guys back in the day. So I'm on Breece Hall 28-1.
He's an Iowa State guy, so I won't bet on him, but that is a good bet. Yeah. And if you're right, then I'll be a little bummed I didn't follow you on it, but I just can't do it out of principle. It's like Brock Purdy. I couldn't get on that train last year. I have one last thing. The new NCAA game coming out in 6 weeks. It's gonna be freaking awesome. Maybe we'll live stream some exhibitions or start an online dynasty league or something. But probably the most excited I've been for a video game in a decade or so.
The question is, are you going to get a PS5 or an Xbox?
I think I'm going to do a PS5.
Okay.
It's
well, you got a month, right? When is it? Yeah. It comes out in July. You got 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like July 19th or something like that.
Let's check. Yeah, July 19th. Yeah. Okay.
Graphics looks good. Everything looks good from what I've seen. I hope it lives up to the hype, but we'll see.
I think it will. But if there's anything that lived up to the hype, it was our return to the podcast game. Thank you for being patient, giving us a couple weeks. We've been traveling, doing some crazy things and working triple overtime on that NFL draft stuff. But I do want to give myself a quick plug before we get out of here. So my mock draft database, that's in my, the link is in my bio on my Twitter. So on this website, I guess I haven't been advertising this as much, but as I put bets in, I had a link on my website that took to a Google Doc that had my plays in there live. My 2023 draft, I went up plus 7.2 units, and in 2024, I just went up 35.6 units.
Just 35 units?
I just did, because I hit Penix 40-1 to go to the Falcons. Don't ask me how that happened. And I hit what's his name, the wide receiver for the Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver for the Niners, going in the first round. So all I'm saying is, if you want to make money, you need to be on my NFL draft channel or my website.
You were the only person in the world who knew that Michael Penix was going to the Falcons.
Hey, this is all I know, man. I dedicate so much time to the draft. It's all I do.
Cover all your bases. So it's like, if someone else would have gone it, you would have made some money. But since you already had that 40-1 ticket or whatever it was, you were set.
I placed that Penix ticket April 5th at like 12:14 a.m. What was I doing? I don't know, but I just thought Michael Penix was going to the Falcons.
Probably listen to a pod where that guy talked about a pod, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
That's all you need. But All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back hopefully next week with another episode of Bet GPT. Once again, we have merch available. Check out our store. Plenty of good things on there. And we do have our PCA giveaway coming out soon. It is now official. We're coming up with the terms. But Pete Crow Armstrong did get his first career hit.
It was a homer.
It was a homer. So we will be giving away a t-shirt. So more to come on the next episode or coming episodes for that. But have a good Memorial Weekend and Memorial Day, everybody. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.